Yes, yes. Welcome back to Ill Communication,
What's up?
the illest interview show around where I, ill.Gates, interview awesome people such as today's guest, Lisa Vazquez. Thank you so much for joining us, Lisa.
Yes,
Lots of
I'm
love.
stoked to be here at the dojo, and yeah, it's definitely my first time here, and I'm very impressed with the whole situation. I'm excited to be a part of it. So.
Word
Yeah.
up. So I actually very recently encountered Lisa. I was on the internet and I was browsing around and I came across the Goldie Awards, which is a very, very cool award. It's kind of like the evolution of the DMC battle scene, basically brought to us by A-Track. And A-Track on his YouTube has a whole bunch of these cool battle videos. I've always been into battling, as I'm sure you know. And I came across Lisa doing some really sick routines on the MPC Live where she was using it in some very cool ways, and then went over onto her Instagram and dropped her a line, and we hit it off right away. And I was like, hey, you know, if you're ever in LA, you should stop by the dojo. And she was like, well, coincidence, I'm coming down to LA real soon. And we've been hanging out. She's been staying here, and we've been making music and geeking out. She's been giving me MPC lessons, which is very cool. I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, it's been really rad. So I've been learning more about her, and I was like, you know what, you need to be a part of the dojo, and you need to be on Ill Communication. So thank you so much for taking the time and for stopping by and everything. Yeah, it's really cool to have you here. So let's talk about the Goldie Awards. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Goldie Awards and a little bit about how you got involved with that?
Yeah, so the Goldie Awards, as he said, it's put on by A-Track of Fool's Gold, his record label, and it is a beat battle, DJ battle. It's a pretty new situation, but so this year was the third year that it's been going, but it is such an amazing event. You know, it's one of the first events that I've ever heard of that couples DJ battling with beat battling, and it's just really great. They have guest judges that are really well known in the industry. Like the year that I went, there was Mark Ronson, Just Blaze, DJ Craze, Anna Luno, and just list goes on. Yeah, there was just a bunch of really great
cool.
judges.
I didn't know those were the judges. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I would have been like nervous around those cats. Shit.
Exactly. Well, and I wasn't nervous until the judges started to roll up onto the stage and everything, because we were there hanging out kind of like all day, and just A-Track was there, which was really cool. It was my first time meeting him, and you know, that was, I still wasn't that nervous, but then it was like, oh, okay, here we go. Oh shit, it's Just Blaze. Oh, Mark Ronson. Oh, LP was there.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh my God, you know, and then the room started to fill up, you know, and it's a really big capacity. It's in Brooklyn at this venue called Brooklyn Steel. It's a really good venue, and yeah, so we each. The 8 battlelists from.
Well, here
around,
let's.
okay.
I'm sure not everybody knows what a beat battle is.
Okay.
So why don't we just talk a little bit about like what exactly is a beat battle? Like how were you engaging in battle at this place?
Yeah. So basically, well, the other battles that I've seen, a lot of times they'll pair people up to kind of go to do. It's usually a 1-minute beat. Most battles that I've been in or seen, they'll do 1-minute beats. It's very, you know, timed, very strict, you know, and you could basically do whatever you want. You could play your beat out, or you could just, you know, press play on something if that's how you prefer to showcase your beat. But as he said, I was using the MPC Live, so I played out my beat on the MPC Live. But for this one, it was the 8 different contestants that we each just kind of went one right after the other, and then it was a massive slice after that. Then it was only down to 2. So it was just cutthroat.
So they weren't doing the round robin style, but it's typically like a round robin.
Yeah,
most of the beat
most
battles.
of the ones that I've seen, but they do it definitely different there.
And how is a beat battle scored?
I'm not really sure what they never really shared what the categories were, which was interesting.
That makes it so much harder.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might have like kind of gave it a general rundown of what they're looking for, but they have on each one of the judges like sheets that they're writing down on, they have, it's kind of like an unknown.
Okay, so how do you get invited to the Goldie Awards? How does that all work?
Well, it was an online submission process. So basically you could upload your video to either YouTube or Instagram, and then they have on their website, you have to fill out an application and then just put a link to your video. So, and then, the stipulations, you have to hashtag Goldie Awards and whatever, I think tag them and stuff. But that's basically it. And then they go through the videos, and I don't know how exactly they choose those, but then they just pick 8 from around the world. So there was people from Australia, Brazil, I believe, just Japan. Like there's just people
and then
from all over the world.
They flew you out.
Yeah, so
Sick.
they fly everybody out to New York and put you up in a hotel, and then you get to compete. And so I was already, even though that year I didn't take the first prize home, but then I felt like I won anyway, because just getting flown out there and being a part of it.
Yeah, being a part. And I mean, then your video's up there forever, and people like me will find it.
Exactly. And, now, just being able to be in front of those people in the industry and making those connections that I still keep in contact. I mean, we're going to see Basic today, and he's one of the guys in the Goldie Awards.
Yeah, so what was the environment like? Were you all like at the same hotel? Like, was everybody hanging out and stuff? Or was it like, were people like, oh, I'm going to eat your lunch?
And we were kind of like, being, a little competitive, but it was all, in good fun. But it was super friendly, and we all, stayed at the same hotel and stuff. And, so like I said, I still keep in contact with some of the people. Like, do you have any new besties from it, from the Goldie Awards? Yeah, kinda. I mean, right now, DJ Buck Rogers, who was actually his
routine was awesome. I really was
amazing.
Impressed.
Yeah,
I was impressed.
Is someone that I've kept in contact since then, and on my tour that I just went on, visited him in Austin and stayed at his place with him and his lady, and then. There's this girl Mawick. She's in Mexico. We still keep in contact.
Okay, cool. I'll have
to
check her out.
In Mexico. So and this guy in Venezuela, Matematico.
I saw his routine.
He's super dope, and we've done a collab video before. Still, just
awesome.
I've definitely kept in contact with the people, and because we shared an amazing experience, and it's definitely something that I'm super grateful for.
Very cool, very cool. So let's talk about this tour that you went on. You just went on a tour. How did that come about?
Yeah, so that was kind of a wild thing. So I went with E-Turn, who's a rapper out of Florida, and she's super dope rapper. She signed to this label Fake 4, and we just met online. People had been tagging us in each other's videos and stuff, and we were just like, oh yeah, you're dope. Oh yeah, you're dope. And so that's just how we kind of knew of each other. And then one day she just kind of out of the blue hit me up and would say, hey, do you want to do some shows together sometime? I'm looking to tour more in this next year. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally down. Let's do it. And then it transpired into this way bigger thing than we expected it to be. It ended up being a 2.5 month national tour.
Oh wow!
That so we just kind of co-headlined it, which was interesting because we we both do our solo sets. I think we did sometimes where we did a collab tracks, but for the most part, she did her set, I did my set, and we just switched off who went last each show, and it ended up working out
very
just
equitable.
Fine. Yeah, and no problems
So
there.
who did the bookings for this? Were you doing the bookings yourself? Did you guys have an agent?
We did the booking ourselves, and we did have some people that we kind of reached out to help us when they could, but for the most part, we did the booking ourselves.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think probably a lot of our audience are wanting to go on tours and to book them, and probably don't have agents.
Right.
And they're like, hey, how do you make the leap from wanting to do it to doing it? Do you have any advice for how to set up your own tour without an agent? Because that's the whole thing.
I mean, I would say start off, small. Don't do it. We tried to, even though both of us have a lot of experience touring and a lot of connections, I mean, it was very difficult, and we would have had people book it for us, but coincidentally, the person that was managing her and the person that was helping manage me just were not able to do it at the time we wanted to do it, so we're just like, oh, we'll just do it. But anyway, so doing it yourself, you just plan out something kind of shortish at first just to kind of get a feel for it, and it's all about just being consistent with emails and stuff, and just trying to just find your contacts. And my advice for writing an email in general is keep it as concise as possible. Like, people don't want to read a novel. You could have links to all your stuff if they want to know more, but just a
And
really
paragraphs too. I think a lot of the time people forget to put paragraphs.
Oh, and just do
you
like
just
a big
can't.
run-on.
You just like you get like
Yeah.
3 sentences in, and your eyes just glaze over. Like I'll do like 1 paragraph per sentence sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to make it visually clear.
Exactly. Just paraphrase what it is that you do if they haven't heard of you before. Have a strong video that showcases what you do, and that's the best way to get people's attention. And just say, hey, I want to play in your city or at your venue at these dates or this one specific, like as easy as you make it for them.
Cool. And so, how were you
possible.
finding the promoters? Were you going to the city and find venues, or how are you finding out like who do I work with in what city?
I mean, because I've toured kind of quite a bit, I've kind of built up a good little list of connections. But then, if you don't know people in the cities, which we didn't know people in every city, sometimes you just reach out to other artists that are in those cities,
okay.
And then you can ask them, hey, what's a good venue or whatever. So that's another good tool, like just networking with other artists online in general. That's how that can work out to your favor. And with touring, it's just asking them, for their connections, and usually people are pretty happy to hook you up with whoever they know.
Dope.
Yeah. So
I had a pretty good trick when I was starting out, whereas there would be, I'd find one promoter in one town, and my name wasn't worth much in their town at that point, and they would be like, hey, I really believe in your music. I can't afford to pay you much, but I'll fly you out and you can stay at my house for this gig. And then I'd rather than being like, oh, I'm not getting paid, I don't know, I'd be like, okay, I'll do it, but do you know anyone in a nearby city that I could get a paying gig with? And then usually they could find someone like within a short Greyhound ride that could get you like a couple $100, and then you'd set up like a little mini weekend like that. So I found that was a pretty good trick. And then another one is like when fans would post on my social media, and they'd be like, hey, come to this city. Because they assume it's just up to the artist, that you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I'm gonna play Electric Forest this year, and then you just call them up and go, and it's like it's not like that, like it's up to the promoters. So whenever people would post like, hey, I want you to come to my city, I'd be like, look, it's not up to me. The promoters have to book me, but why don't you tell me who the promoters you think should book me are, and then you go hit them up and post on their social media to show them that there's demand.
Yeah.
And then once you've done that, let me know, and then I'll reach out and contact them.
Yeah.
And that I found helped a bit too, because it's like, especially before you have an agent, it's like a bit of an uphill battle sometimes, every little bit of strategy kind of helps with that.
Definitely.
Cool. So, one of the points of that strategy that I thought was particularly salient was you were mentioning that to having videos that show what you do and why it's dope. And your videos are great. And I've noticed that you have, you very quickly deployed a tight little setup here at the dojo. Like I came back into the green screen room and I think I was gone for half an hour or something, and suddenly it was the Lisa studio and everything was all set up and you had sampling records and shit. But I thought that was really cool. So why don't you talk a little bit about your Flip It Friday series, and if you have any kind of insights about making videos that you might be able to share with our audience here.
Yeah, well, with the Flip It Friday thing, if you guys are not familiar, it's a little beat making series.
Gotta check it out, it's dope. It's dope.
A beat making series that I have on YouTube, and there's links to it on my social media, but I basically just show the process of how I go about making a beat. So basically you just get to be a fly on the wall in my studio and just get to see kind of different ways that I go about making beats. And typically my process now, I use the MPC Live as my main weapon of choice. Shout out to Akai.
Yeah, big ups.
And
I love it.
I use it in standalone mode, so I don't use a computer for the initial beat making process, and I'll have a record that I'll either have chosen at random, or somebody will either make a suggestion or send me something, and so that's how I pick the sample. Or that's how I pick the record rather, and then I pick a sample from the record, and then just start going through the process, and I play instruments over the beat that I'm making. But basically, I think people really enjoy just watching that kind of raw process of whatever it is you're doing. So like if you're an artist, you know, you don't necessarily always want to be sharing like, hey, here's my finished painting, or here's my finished like graphic design work or whatever. You know, people do enjoy seeing like what equipment you're using and everything. I think it gives people that sense of like, oh, hey, I can do that too, or inspires them to just be in their workspace. And especially like in my videos, I make tons of mistakes. The end product isn't necessarily something I would, you know, release or whatever. Sometimes they end up being really good though, but you know, it's just, it shows that whole like really just raw process of the whole thing. Like as artists, we're not always just cranking out banger after banger.
Yeah.
It's all like perfect or whatever. There's tons of trial and error. We, you know, make mistakes all the time. And it's important, I think, to share that. So
That's cool. And you know, I found like your videos, like a lot of what makes them watchable is it feels really like personal, you know? And I was just wondering if you had any kind of like, any kind of thoughts on just like sharing your personality and just like being open, and just like anything like that, because I know like it's really inviting, you know, when you watch the videos. I'm just like, this is awesome, Lisa's my homie.
yeah, I mean, again, you know, it's just showing like the quirkiness. Like when I'm editing and stuff, I like to put in a lot of the parts where, because I'm just talking to myself the whole time basically. Like I was like, okay, here's what I'm doing, and you know, I feel kind of dorky about it, but I think that you know, again, as an artist, or anybody just sharing content like on anywhere, just trying to like get a following and stuff like that, but just to really just share yourself as a person, because that's what people really are connecting with, or just you as a person. And you know, in a sense, that's what all this art is just an extension of our personality, you know, and it's just different tool, different ways to be able to express that. And you know, so just try to be as authentic as you possibly can, and that's really going to shine through. It's going to make you more unique. If you're trying to just like be like somebody else or copy exactly what somebody else is doing, I mean, it's not really going to be, it's not going to be you. So you know, just really just trying to be authentic and just be yourself. And you know, if you're a weirdo, then it's probably going to make you even more popular.
Yeah, totally.
So.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people when they're starting out, they just the impetus is to hide behind a mask of perfection.
Yes.
Where, you know, you don't want to share any of the roughness around the edges, and you just want to be like, you know, you just want to be like, look at this perfect thing. I made it because I'm perfect, and this thing is perfect. And it's just like, it's like you're like flexing, you know? And it's like, that's not what people connect with art, you know? They connect with that vulnerability, and they connect with like the human struggle of it, you know? And it's like, you know, what does a perfect song tell you about the artist who made it, you know? It's like, it's like when you hang out with someone and like, they never swear, and they're always like really polite, and they're always like kind of like they're just following all the rules all the time, and you're like, do I even know this person? You know, like like I don't know. I just kind of you want to see a little bit behind the mask, you know. So
exactly.
Don't be afraid to share who you are. Don't hide behind the mask.
Human. It's okay.
Yeah, we're all human for sure. Cool. So let's talk about some of the music that you're making. Where can people check out your releases, and are there any that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, well, right now I have on my website www.lisavazquez.com, and it's spelled VAZQUEZ.
LisaVazquez.com.
And so I have my debut EP that I put out a couple years ago. That's just a 5-song EP that I produced, and I do rap and sing over that. So I don't just make beats, I do vocal stuff too. And but yeah, I've been just building up a big catalog of stuff that I'm going to be releasing soon. So I've kind of been toying between just doing an instrumental release or doing an instrument or doing something with vocals. I might do a double LP that has both options.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like that.
Yeah, so I think that's probably the move there, and that should be coming out soon. I don't have an exact release date because I don't want to get myself all...
Yeah, I always hate that. When I get all excited, I'll be like, it's coming this fall, and then it like totally doesn't, and they're all like... really got to get it together over there. What's going on, Gates?
Yeah, and so well, that'd probably be a whole other podcast to just talk about releases and how people get all wrapped up in those kind of things. But yeah, I definitely am planning on doing it ASAP. And
are you doing this on a label? Or are you doing it self-release, or how are you?
So I'm shopping for labels. Actually, I have some ideas, but I want to get my my album done before I do that.
Yeah.
Just send them.
You got to be in a strong place for sure.
Yeah, so I'll have that. Looking at a few, eyeballing some. So hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, or I might just put it out on my own if that doesn't quite pan out. But yeah, it's whatever. I'm just
and I mean, most of the best labels started with them just being like, you know what, fuck it, we'll put it out ourselves, and then it grows into a label. So
yeah,
there's definitely nothing wrong with self-release too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, you get all the stats and the emails and all that. Bandcamp's dope.
Yes, and yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have Bandcamp, so you can check it out, Bandcamp. But definitely planning on touring some more, doing some festival stuff this coming spring and summer is the plan.
Yeah, I was spying on your YouTube, and I saw this pretty cool video of you performing at this festival, Rhymesayers Festival in Soundset. Yeah, that performance is just great. Can you tell me a little bit about how did that feel? That does look like a great gig.
So that was probably one of my favorite gigs I've ever played, actually. And so, yeah, as he said, it's a Rhymesayers Festival. It's in Minnesota, and it's like 40,000 capacity, one day, all hip-hop festival. And so this year they had, like Black Star, Run the Jewels, Tierra Whack was there, SZA. I mean, the list just went on and on. Lil Wayne was there. It was crazy. So I did a production showcase. That was the video that he saw. I had somebody film that, and very great experience.
Yeah, it's a dope video. You got to check it out. It's a great performance, and I think it's so cool to just see someone up on stage. No set of decks. It's just like an MPC on a stand and a mic, and then you had your TC Voice Live that you're rocking. It's just it's just so cool to see someone rocking a whole set like that.
It was fun, yeah, and I'm always trying to perfect my set. It's always evolving, and with the technology stuff, it's kind of like, I mean, anybody that does live performance with technology knows that troubleshooting is always
oh yeah, that's like half of it.
Yeah,
that's half of it.
Yeah, I mean, and it really does, I think that's so many people that are successful. It's like you just have to persevere getting over these fail after fail after fail situations, because because it is so much troubleshooting, and nobody likes troubleshooting. Who likes to do it? Or learning new things all the time with the different tech tools or software, and but that's a huge part of it, and you have to be able to do that if you're going to be successful.
And you can't get angry.
Yeah.
You can't get angry. That's one thing when I was first starting out, and I'd have some computer issue or some plugin would crash or whatever, and I'd just be in the studio with one of my friends just screaming and swearing at my computer while my friend's oh God, are you okay, bro? And it's just all the vibe is done. Or if you're on stage and something goes wrong and you get mad, the vibe's over. I don't want to see that as an audience member, so it's just gotta keep your cool, gotta power through. You know?
And you got to realize that none of this is really all that serious. At the end of the day, we're doing stuff that we love. We're super blessed to be able to do that. And, so what do we really have to complain about?
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, we have it so easy, compared to so many other parts in the world.
Absolutely.
And, when I see people who just have it so easy and they're just so mad, I'm just damn, what do you want? What do you expect? How do you think this is supposed to be? You have it easier than anyone on earth and you're so mad.
It's very true. Sometimes I think about that, and not even just with the music industry, but then just people in general.
Yeah.
In society, it's complaining on social media, complaining about just all this stuff, and it's like, okay, you realize you can turn on the faucet and you get clean water that comes out of there.
That's
You can flip
amazing.
a switch and the light comes on.
Air conditioning fucking blows my mind. How does that even work? It's crazy.
And I mean, you know, it's like people just take all that. A lot of people take that stuff for granted a lot, and you know, there's a lot of places and a lot of people in the world that don't have it nearly as good, and so just being grateful will get you a long way in this world. For sure, and for just general happiness. So.
Amen to that. Well,
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful place to wrap up.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Lisa.
Yes, thank you.
LisaVazquez.com. Don't forget your Z's or Z's, depending on what country you're in. Z's or Z's. Be sure to check her out. Be sure to check out some of her music, and be on the lookout for Lisa collabing with the Producer Dojo. If you want to learn, she wants to teach you.
Yes, I'm going to be doing some MPC live tutorials, some beat making stuff for all you hip hop heads. I do like, you know, soul, golden era kind of stuff, some experimental things too. But definitely check it out. I can teach you what I know.
Word up. She knows a lot. She knows how to make it dope, and that's the most important thing. All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell and all that. I love you. Lisa loves you, and we'll see you next time. Peace.